In the heart of the city there is a Arlington Community Church called Holy Cross Lutheran Church. Experience the teaching ministry of Pastor Roberts. The Word of God will transform your life. You will be healed through the Bible emotionally and spiritually. You will understand the practical application of the Word of God. Now it's time to experience a time in the Word with noted Bible teacher the Reverend Leon Roberts of Holy Cross Lutheran Church of Jacksonville.
Hello again, I'm Pastor Leon Roberts from Holy Cross Lutheran Church in Jacksonville, Florida. It's good to be with all of you again as we spend a time in the Word together, continuing in our Gospel of John series. We're in chapter 11 today, the death of Lazarus. One of my favorite things to read in the New Testament. This particular story has a lot of value for me. Most of you know, before I became a full-time Lutheran pastor, I was a funeral director and embalmer for 41 years, and so we're at something that is right up my alley. And so let's get right into this death of Lazarus story and see what Jesus has for us today. So verse 1 begins, "Now a man named Lazarus was sick, and he was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair." You may remember the alabaster box, and that's where that comes from. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, "Lord, the one you love is sick." You know, you and I, when we receive word that someone close to us is ill, we try to drop everything and go to their aid. We try to help them as much as we can. We'll make a plane reservation, a train reservation, ride a Greyhound bus, drive all night. We'll do whatever we have to do to get to that person to give them the care that they need and the support that we can give them, including prayer. So, yes, we drop everything. But in this instance, Jesus doesn't do that. In fact, as we read the 11th chapter, as this all unfolds, we might begin saying to ourselves, "Jesus, you're not doing this right. You're not handling this the way it should be handled." But actually, he is. And one important lesson we will learn from the 11th chapter of John is that sometimes when we think God isn't doing anything, that Jesus isn't coming through for us, how wrong we are, because he actually is doing something, or he's already decided for us what he's going to do, and that's exactly what's happened here. The appearances of things to those in the natural don't line up necessarily with what God intends to do, and so we get frustrated. Well, in this instance, Jesus doesn't drop everything, and he doesn't go running to the house. And don't think that Jesus is far, far away, because where he is and where Lazarus lay sick is about a Sabbath day's journey apart. So it's not as if Jesus has to journey for 2 or 3 days to get to Lazarus, because he doesn't. Verse 4, "When he heard this," meaning Jesus, Jesus said, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Now hang on to that verse, verse 4, because later on it's going to come back and explain itself to you when Jesus moves further into this story. So just remember what he said, "This sickness shall not end in death." All right, let's read on. Verse 5, "Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days." You say that's not the right kind of behavior. Well, Jesus stayed 2 more days. And remember, Jesus was sinless. So he stays 2 more days. Then he said to his disciples, "Let's go back to Judea." Now, they're a little perplexed. And in the 8th verse, they reason with him a little. They say, "But Rabbi, a short while ago the Jews tried to stone you, and yet you're going back?" Jesus answered, "Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world's light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light." After he said this, he went on to tell them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up." Now, you know his disciples misunderstood what he said, don't you? As they often did, and no difference here. So, verse 12 says, his disciples replied, "Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better." So Jesus had to clarify things. Verse 13, Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So then he told them plainly, "Lazarus is dead, and for your sake I'm glad I was not there, so that you may believe, but let us go to him." So already the Lord is revealing that he has a plan in place. No matter what you're going through or what you might be thinking about it, you say, "Lord, you're not doing this, you're not doing that." He's not following your script. You're going to have to follow his. He's not going to do it your way. He's going to do it in his timing and by his means. So you follow him. So he lets them know that Lazarus is dead. Now they're going to go to him. So in verse 16, Thomas says, also known as Didymus, to the rest of the disciples, "Let us also go that we may die with him." So, verse 17, on his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. You say, wait a minute. Jesus has missed the hospice opportunity. Jesus missed the wake. Jesus missed the funeral. Jesus missed the burial. Jesus missed the repast. And Jesus shows up 4 days later. Now, being a Jewish house, they're still in mourning because they mourn for 30 days. So there's still a house of mourning, but Jesus is really showing up late here. And it's by design. You say, "Jesus, you showed up too late." No, Jesus showed up right on time, like he always does. Verse 18, now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem. See, Sabbath day's journey. And many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. "Lord," Martha said to Jesus, "if you had been here, my brother would not have died." And you have to wonder when she says this, is it a combination, or is it just a great statement of faith that she makes? Or is she telling Jesus, because you weren't here, my brother died, you should have been here? Well, regardless of how we take this, she makes a great statement of faith afterwards and says, "But I know," in verse 22, "that even now God will give you whatever you ask." Okay, she's been listening to Jesus when he's been teaching. She knows what's going on. Verse 23, Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." In verse 24, Martha says, "I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die." Do you believe this? "Yes, Lord," she replied, "I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who has come into the world." After she said this, she went back and she called her sister Mary aside. "The teacher is here," she said, "and is asking for you." When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house comforting her noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Second time we've heard that. Great statement of faith, but also is she also saying, Lord, my brother died because you were not here. Well, let's see what Jesus has planned. When Jesus saw her weeping and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Now, the English version doesn't really convey what Jesus was feeling at the moment. The Greek text does a much better job. When Jesus says these words, he's very angry. He's mad. He's hot under the collar, as we would say. He's not a happy camper, as we might say, because of what has happened. Remember, fully God and fully man. And this is someone very close to him whom he loved. In verse 34, he asked, "Where have you laid him?" "Come and see, Lord," they replied. Verse 35, the shortest verse in all Scripture, Jesus wept. There's Jesus' humanity. Just like you and I weep at the death of a loved one or the passing of someone close to us, we might weep and shed tears because we miss that person. That unity, that bond we had here on earth has been broken by death. But Jesus is about to give a demonstration of just how temporary death really is. So let's see what we find out next. When Jesus wept in verse 35, in verse 36 it says, "Then the Jews said, 'See how he loved him.' But some of them said, 'Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?'" Certainly Jesus could have done that, but that wasn't the reason for his doing it this way. You see, sometimes when you think that you've been forgotten and the Lord's not doing anything, the Lord's already got your situation figured out. Nothing catches him by surprise. Your problem is nothing new to him. You didn't catch him off guard. He's not sitting there saying, "I didn't see that coming." No, he's got a plan, and he's got a date, time, and a place chosen where he will bring it to pass, if you will just be patient and not let your faith waver. So stay with me. Verse 38, Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. "Take away the stone," he said. Now I'm going to talk to you as a funeral director and embalmer. If you're standing out in the cemetery and there's a crypt there and it's been sealed up and somebody's in that crypt that's been dead for 4 days, and you have to consider the fact that back then there was no means of embalming, I don't recommend you open the crypt. You know, no matter how pretty they make all this stuff on TV, Hollywood's set up when you're in the medical examiner's morgue or anything pertaining to that. See, they make it on a Hollywood set and they make it look all pristine and pretty. In reality, it is not pristine and it is not pretty. It's not a pretty business, death. And there's a side to it that the public doesn't see that we see in our profession. And I can tell you that side that we see, we're glad you don't see. Because there are some horrific scenes that I've been a part of in my lifetime that I'm glad you will never have to be involved in. So, Jesus tells them to take away the stone. "But Lord," said Martha, the sister of the dead man, "by this time there's a bad odor, for he's been in there 4 days." "Yes, Martha, you're absolutely right." Then Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So when they took away the stone, Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." And when he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" Now, many scholars note that it's a good thing that Jesus was specific, that he called the name of Lazarus, otherwise he may have resurrected the entire cemetery, or he may have resurrected everyone. But no, he was very specific. Where is Lazarus? Lazarus is in paradise, but wherever Lazarus was, he heard the voice of the Lord and obeyed. The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." Jesus released him from the bonds of death. Now understand, Lazarus didn't live forever. Lazarus tasted death again. It's appointed unto man once to die, and after this the judgment. So we knew that Lazarus would have to die again. All the people that Jesus healed died again. And that's why I always say, I would rather see 2 people get saved than 2,000 get healed. Because 2 people getting saved is far better than 2,000 people getting healed. Because everybody who got healed, that Jesus healed, died, didn't they? Yes, they did. Verse 45, the plot to kill Jesus. Therefore, many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them that what Jesus had done. When the chief priests and Pharisees called a meeting of the Sanhedrin, "What are we accomplishing?" they asked. "Here is this man performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him. And then the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation." Oh, they're worried about their position. They're worried about their precious temple and their standing in the community more so than stopping and pondering, wow, how is it that this man raises the dead? No man can raise the dead. So why are they not thinking this way and saying, wow, how is it that Jesus is able to raise the dead? Then one of them, named Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year, spoke up. "You know nothing at all." I think Caiaphas knew even less. "You do not realize that it is better for you that one man die for the people than for the whole nation to perish." He did not say this on his own, but as high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the Jewish nation. And not only for the nation, but also for the scattered children of God, to bring them together and make them one. So from that day on, they plotted to take his life. Therefore, Jesus no longer moved about publicly from place to place among the people of Judea. Instead, he withdrew to a region near the wilderness, to a village called Ephraim, where he stayed with his disciples. And when it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, many went up from the country to Jerusalem to their ceremonial cleansing before the Passover. They kept looking for Jesus, and as they stood in the temple courts, they asked one another, "What do you think? Isn't he coming to the festival at all?" But the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that anyone who found out where Jesus was should report it so that they might arrest him. So not only do we see that the Lord had a plan, and that the Lord made sure that he took care of Lazarus, but there was a greater plan at work. And the plan that was at work was a plan of wickedness. It was a plan to kill Jesus. But isn't that what Jesus came for in the first place? Didn't Jesus come to die? Didn't Jesus come to shed his blood for the forgiveness of the sins of humankind? Yes, he did. He came to make atonement for us. He came to forgive our sins, to make atonement so that we could have his forgiveness. Sadly enough, in the world we live in today, there are many who are too busy running about seeking after the wrong things, seeking after power, seeking after fame, prestige, seeking after glory for themselves, seeking after materialistic things and possessions. Folks, I can tell you as a Funeral director and embalmer, I've embalmed and buried and cremated many people, from those who were utterly rich and famous to the nobodies. They all go the same. They all die the same. The ones who have the money may go out with flamboyant ceremony and pomp and circumstance and the big funeral and the big church and all that. But let me tell you something. Death doesn't care who you are. Death by far will never have a complaint filed against him with the EEOC, because he certainly can't be accused of not being an equal opportunist. Death is indeed an equal opportunist. Death strikes at any hour of the day or night. Trust me, I've gotten up sometimes as many as 7 or 8 times per night, because death has again reared its head and taken someone off the earth. And so with that, we know that death is not a respecter of persons either. Death takes them from the womb to old. The oldest person I ever cared for in death was a person who was 106 years old. And I can tell you that death doesn't care about your age. Death doesn't care about race. Death doesn't care about nationality. It means nothing to death. Death comes for you when death comes. Death is not a discriminator. And so we know that death is coming. In fact, in life, we labor between two tensions. In fact, when I was working on my Master of Divinity, one of the things I had to do was draw a model of life. And everybody drew something different. But my model of life worked like this. There was a pathway on the ground, and I said, everyone walks a pathway, and that pathway is either the pathway that God laid for you, or it's the pathway that you laid for yourself. Now, if God laid that pathway and you're walking it, good. If you laid that pathway and you're walking it under your own pretenses, well, then you can pick the artist that you want to sing the song. You can pick Elvis or Frank Sinatra and play the song my way, because that's exactly what you're doing. Every time I listened to that song, I said, that is the song of a fool, because the person who did it his way probably most definitely missed heaven. It's better to do it God's way. As you're walking down this path, if you look up to the sky, there's an all-seeing God looking at you, watching you, accounting for every move, every word, and everything you say and do. And so you're under the watchful eye of the Lord. And it doesn't matter if you're saved or lost as a goose in a fog. You're walking a path being overseen by God, and you have something behind you pushing you along. It's called the flow of time. See, God's cosmology includes time, not just the planetary system in the universe, but the concept of time. God didn't create time for himself. He created time for us. So time pushes forward. It doesn't go backwards. You and I can't go back to yesterday. God can do that if he needs to, but you and I can only move forward in time. So time is pushing us along. What keeps us on the path? Well, we labor between two big walls on either side of us that just give us enough room for our shoulders to move along so we can walk. And that wall on the left is saying to me, you're going to die. Or I look to the right and it says, the Lord is coming back. So I labor between these two tensions, the imminent, unexpected, and I say unexpected this way. Yes, we as Christians know the Lord will return, but we don't know the day and the hour. There have been many date setters and people who've tried to tell us when the Lord was coming back, but so far they've all been wrong. And we can understand why, because the Lord said, only the Father knows and no man knows. So why does man keep thinking that he knows something that God says he does not know? For Scripture says, in an hour that you think not, the Son of Man comes. So we need to be ready and watching. So either the Lord is going to return or I'm going to be claimed by death. Eventually I come to the end of my journey and there is the judgment of God, the judgment seat. So I appear before the Lord to be judged. The man who's saved appears before the Lord, and the man who's lost appears before the Lord. But the man who is saved is rewarded by the Lord. The man who is saved has written his own ticket. He did it his way, and his destination is hell. And that's the way it goes. Whether people want to believe that, accept it, it doesn't make any difference. It changes nothing. That's the way it works. Now here's the thing. You're on the path and you say, yes, I'm on the path that God chose for me, and time is pushing me along, and God is watching over me, and I do believe I labor between these two tensions of the imminent return of Christ or my own death. All right, here's what you don't know. How far down the path are you? How much path do you have left? Is there more path behind you than there is ahead of you, or is there more path ahead of you than there is behind you? And the answer is you don't know. Now, if you happen to be 85 or 90 years old, you can say with confidence, there's definitely more road behind me or life behind me than there is ahead of me. So based on that, most people, when they start reaching those years, they begin to prepare themselves spiritually, mentally, in all kinds of ways for the end. In fact, I've been with many a person of age like that who's been a Christian for their whole life, and they seem prepared and ready to meet the Lord when they reach that stage in life. So my urging to you would be that you set your house in order and your affairs in order and live life to the full and live every day as if it were your last. And if there's something on your list that you say, oh, I wanted to do this for God, or I wanted to do this for Christ, why not do it now? Why not do it while there's time? Do it while there's still time. And then you can say, I can cross that off my list. You don't want to live your life and then come to the end of it with regrets. So what can you do now? Are you giving all you can give to your church? Are you doing everything you can for the Lord? Are you giving of yourself? Or are you sitting in front of the TV day in and day out and doing nothing? You know, sometimes we have no choice but to stay home because our health doesn't allow us to do something. But if you have your health, by all means, let the Lord be praised and give the Lord something back. Give him your time. Give him your talents and your abilities. You say, well, Pastor, I don't have a whole lot of talent and ability. What can I possibly do? You can pray. You say, well, I'm not real good at it. Practice makes perfect. Get started. Start praying. And pray. Everybody can do that. Had a dear sweet lady who's gone to be with the Lord now in a congregation I pastored, and she told me, she said, Pastor, physically my body's had it. I can't do much, she says, but mentally I'm sharp as ever. I can pray for folks. And she did. And I would give her people to pray for her, and she would pray for them. Well, would you believe our time is almost up? It sure goes fast when we get into the Word. Thank you for joining me here on A Time in the Word. I'm Pastor Leon Roberts, the pastor of Holy Cross Lutheran Church. And as we're in the season of Advent, feel free to join us online on Facebook or on our website, www.holycrossjax.org or net. Either one works. And join us for our Advent services and Sunday. Till then, this is Pastor Leon Roberts saying thank you for joining us today, and I will see you the next time as we continue our study in John as we enter chapter 12. Bye-bye.
Would you like to reach more people with your message, but it seems like you've reached the social media glass ceiling? Has it been a nightmare for you to have the content but can't attract the right viewers? Are you frustrated because you're not getting the results that you desire? Let us give you a precise 72-hour plan that'll refocus your strategy with the Inspired Network Branding Department. We can take your business or project to the next level. For more information, give us a call today.
Your financial support keeps the ministry alive. You can be a blessing by sowing via Cash App today at $TeachJax, or you can text to give at 833-481-1524 and text the word give.
Do you love video production? Would you like to have a career in video production but don't know where to start? Your problem is you have no one to teach you. Well, the Inspired Television Network is initiating its apprenticeship program. we'll teach you video production, how to set up the simple camera operation, post-production, and advanced editing. Imagine sitting down with an expert and being taught weekly how to do it. It's a 6-month program that requires a minimum of 10 hours a week of hands-on training and 3 hours a week of classroom training. You've always wanted to make movies or learn production. This is the perfect program for you. Give us a call today at 904-389-5592 or sign up at www.learntv.today. It's free for churches and nonprofit. Dreaming about having your own podcast? Want to share your thoughts and ideas with the world but don't know how to do it? Maybe you're excited and committed but don't have a good space to record. Would you like a professional environment to produce all of your podcasts? Well, we have the latest technology from 4K to HD and various set layouts from green screen rooms to live studios. The Inspire Network is an actual television station where our studios are available for rent and we offer editing suites with the latest technology. We have a makeup studio and beautiful spaces to prepare for your show. Don't forget to ask about our convenient photography studio to capture professional headshots or redefine your new look. Our state-of-the-art facility is intentionally laid out to accommodate your multimedia needs.
You're watching the Inspired Network, and maybe you're watching us on social media. Immediately go to your Roku device, press Add Channel, and download us today.
So you've been watching the show. Would you like to be a content provider yourself and develop a show for the Inspire Network? Please give us a call today at 904-389-5592 or go to www.connecttv.info to submit a show idea.
Hello, good people. How y'all doing? Listen, we're on the set of The Clouds right now. We're getting ready to record, but I thought it would be robbery for us not to let you know that we're back.
Yes, we are, and we missed you guys. We hope that you missed us too. But you all have to tune into The Clouders every Monday at 8:30.
Listen, we'll be looking to see you. And hopefully that when you do listen, that something grabs you and connects you with us.
Absolutely. So get connected and stay free.
Hey, it's Michelle, the one and only here. Did you hear about our show, The Process? The Process, coming to you live Saturday mornings. We're going to talk about bossing up in 904. Check us out, The Process.